Let's start discussion of 7th November 2025 current affairs discussion through MindMaps. So this is going to be the 7 important articles for today's lecture. The first important article is Mains Lens Redraw Welfare Architecture Plays a UBI in the Center. See, this topic is talking about the UBI, that is the Universal Basic Income. Basically, it has presented some argument in favor of UBI, against the UBI, and then it is giving some conclusion what should be the way forward. It's a very, very important article for us, because through this article, one topic of UBI which is important from the inclusive growth point of view. Inclusive growth in GS3, there is one topic. From this point of view, it is very important. So through this, I am going to draw one mind map which will be helpful for you to revise this particular topic using the article which was published in the Hindu newspaper. Okay, so let us start the discussion. See, the universal basic income is the topic. So how we are going to discuss two things. One is that argument in support, argument in favor, then we will give argument against. Okay, so this is going to be the argument in favor, argument against. Then we need a small introduction, that is the context or the definition we can give, introduction, and then we also need what? Conclusion. So these are the 4 aspects which is required to cover this particular topic, right? So let's create the mind map for this. Argument in favor. There are multiple argument has been given in this article to support the UBI, I mean that the government should give UBI. The first is that the issue in the current, what you can say, the schemes we are providing. See, why there is need of UBI? Before that, let's first understand what is UBI. UBI, that is the Universal Basic Income. Universal Basic Income, right? Universal Basic Income. So how what this universal basic income means? See, few words you should remember while covering this universal basic income. It is a periodic, it's a unconditional, it's a cash transfer to every citizen irrespective of their income and their employment status. Cash transfer to every citizen. This is the definition, irrespective of their income or employment. That means from this you can ask, like, sir, whether the Ambanis will also get the UBI. See, there will be some limitation, some exemption they will give, but by definition it is like, because we are talking about the universal, right? Okay, now the question is, why there is need to transfer cash when they are not even working? The second question will it be like a freebie? So many things, many questions are there. So despite these things, why we are talking about implementing UBI here? The first argument is that there is a lot of gaps in the current subsidy based welfare mechanism. Subsidy based. So the subsidy based welfareism have the limitation. That is, especially the leakages. You must have heard about leakage in the PDS system. Leakage in PDS system. That is one of the example. So basically, the actual benefit is not able to reach to the intended beneficiary. That is the first problem. Second is that rising inequality. As per the Global Inequality Report, World Inequality Database, what it says, 1% of a top 1% population are owning the 40% of the national wealth. It shows the inequality. So such kind of income redistribution can ensure this income equality. The third point is that it is important to fulfill the DPSP, That is DPSP point. What is DPSP? Article 38, that is the Directives Principle of State Policy, talks about the promotion of welfare of the people and reduce the inequality. Similarly, there is Article 39 B and C also talks about the income redistribution and the wealth redistribution. So it will ensure the fulfillment of DPSP also. Next important is point is that the 3.4th point is that GDP growth and the prosperity are not in the sync. That means generally what is considered, if the income is rising, GDP is rising, the prosperity, standard of living should also rise, but that is not happening. How you are saying that not happening? India became 4th in the terms of GDP. However, our rank in the global happiness report is 126 out of 137 country. Global happiness report 2023 says this. This is the GDP ranking. So there is difference between the GDP growth and the prosperity. The next important point which this article talks is the automation and impact. Due to the automation, as per the McKinsey report, what it says? It says that in the world around 800 million people are going to lose their jobs by 2030. So what will happen with those people? They may become jobless. They may fall into the poverty trap. So to support such kind of people also, there is a requirement of income redistribution, giving them some sustained income. Okay, so these are the point. However, there are criticism. The major criticism you can easily guess is the fiscal burden on the government. Fiscal burden. As per the report, if we give 7,620 rupees per person per year, it will cost around 5% of India's GDP. That's a huge burden. Second, there is issue of the beneficiary. Who should be the beneficiary? Should we give to all? Should we give to the selected people? There are recommendation of Ministry of Women and Child Development that it should be given only to women. So such kind of issue is there. Then the who will take the fiscal burden? That is fiscal responsibility division. That is also a problem. Like between the center and state, who will bear how much? The next problem is that the moral hazard is also there. What is moral hazard? Moral hazard is that once you start giving this kind of income, people will stop working, right? May stop working, we should say. Next important is that there is gap in digital infrastructure. Gaps are there, right? This is also the problem. Like we are saying that we will directly transfer, but people do not have the internet connectivity, mobile phone, how they will access? That's another limitation. Okay, so these are the limitation. In the conclusion, what we can say is that we should see, it's not like the UBI will solve all kind of problems. It's not like that, right? So what is requirement is that there is requirement of universal basic services, that our services become more efficient so that it reaches to the people, right? The second thing the writer says is that we need the inclusivity in the economic growth, so that the income concentration among the few section of the society can be reduced. So this way, you see, this is the article on universal basic income, where we had discussed about the different aspect of it, where we discussed about the argument in favor, argument in against, and then what can be the introduction and what can be the conclusion. This way, this one sheet of paper or the one mind map can help you to solve this problem. Next important article is center says right to vote is different from freedom of voting. This is the news. Very important from prelims as well as from the mains point of view. It is related to the GS2 polity. This topic is related to GS2 polity. See, there is one, what is the news I am telling first, then we'll go to the concepts behind it. See, there are some NGOs like you must have heard about ADR, Association of Democratic Reforms. Second NGO is the Vidhi, Center for Legal Policy Reforms, right? So these are the NGOs who have filed one petition in the Supreme Court challenging one provision in the Representation of People's Act. Okay, so this is basically the context. But before that, as we do, let's understand the context, the background of the concept. See, we all have right to vote. If you have crossed 18 years of age and if you are the citizen of India, you get the right to vote, right? This provision has been made in our constitution, especially Article 326 is the one of the article which provides for this right. To implement this constitutional provision, there is two laws. One is the Representation of People's Act 1950 and second is the Representation of People's Act 1951. These two laws is there. Within this law, there are different provisions with respect to who can vote, who cannot vote, who can contest the election, who cannot, how the election will be conducted. These all things has been covered under the Representation of People's Act. Is that clear? Okay. Now let's go to the understand what are these arguments, what the central government is giving argument, what the petitioners are giving the arguments, and what are the different provision in the law that we'll discuss. Okay, so this particular article is related to right to vote. Right to vote. Many things you will get the clarity after covering this. See. So let's cover first the debate. What is the debate? The debate is about two things. We'll cover two aspects. One is that right to vote. Second is the freedom of voting. Two aspects are there, and as per the central government, both are different. That concept we'll discuss. Second what we'll discuss is that violation of right to vote. Right to vote. How? See, are you aware about this concept called as nota? This is none of the above. What it is? None of the above. That means if you are going to the polling booth and you don't like any of the voter, any one of the candidate, you can press the none of the above. Now let me ask you, if let's say there is one constituency, imagine your constituency, whatever is the constituency, and there is only one candidate to contest the election, then what will happen? That's the question. The answer is, in Representation of People's Act 1951 in section 53(2), you don't have to remember this section. Here it is written that if there is only one candidate to contest the election, the one candidate will be declared winner and there won't be any voting. If that is the case, then what will happen to the right to vote of the people? Then if you don't want even that candidate, will you be able to exercise your right to vote? Will you be able to exercise your right to vote to none of the above? No, you can't. And that is the ground through which these NGOs are claiming that it is violating the right to vote, since the electors the voters won't be able to vote at all. But what center is saying? Let's see that. Center is saying that right to vote is not Please remember this very important point. Not a fundamental right. Sometimes UPSC gives this particular like the right to property is which among the following? Is it a fundamental right, legal right, constitutional right, or what? Right? So not a fundamental right. Second, it's not a constitutional right also. Not a constitutional right also. So what it is? Center says it's only a legal right. Legal right. Then ask Ajay sir, what is the difference between this fundamental right, constitutional right, or legal right? See, fundamental right are those rights which are mentioned in the part 3 of the Constitution. Part 3 as the chapter called the fundamental right. Not a constitutional right because it is not mentioned in the Constitution also, directly not mentioned. For example, Article 300A talks about the right to property that is mentioned in the Constitution. Hence, right to property is a constitutional right. But is it a fundamental right? The answer is no. Because it's not a part of Part 3. That's why it's not a fundamental right. But since it is a part of the Constitution, it is the constitutional right. And why we are calling it as a legal right? Legal right when the right is given through a law, through a statutory law passed by the parliament or the state legislature. Then we call it as a legal right. So right to vote is a legal right since this right is being given through the Right Representation of People's Act 1951, which is a statutory law. And hence it is also called as the statutory right. Very important I would say. Now next, freedom of vote means what? The central government is saying right to vote, I mean that this freedom of vote is a fundamental right, Fundamental right means it is a part of our part 3. Ask me, which part? Part 3, which article? Article 19(1). Because through exercise of the right to vote, we are exercising our freedom of speech. We are speaking that this person we want as our candidate. We don't want anyone among them. Hence we are pressing the nota. That means we are exercising what? We are exercising our right to freedom of speech and expression. And since right to vote, and that is the freedom of voting, helps us to exercise our freedom of speech and expresses, hence it is a fundamental right. I hope this whole concept is clear. Okay. Next important article is 150 year of Vande Mataram. So 7th November 2025 marks the 150th anniversary of India's national song Vande Mataram. So from history point of view, this topic becomes important. History. They can ask some facts about the Vande Mataram. When it was, who composed Vande Mataram, where it is written, such kind of questions can be asked. So let's cover everything about the Vande Mataram in one mind map. So the topic here is the Vande Mataram, and I'm telling you this topic, please save this mind map anywhere. Save this mind map because this mind map is going to be very useful, because I can tell you question can come in the next prelims on the Vande Mataram, because highly in the news. Honorable Prime Minister also have made some comment about the Vande Mataram, and it has created some political controversy. And that's why it is in the news. And it's also important for those who are preparing for the civil services interview also, which is going to come. So for them also it is important to understand the different facts about the Vande Mataram. So Vande Mataram, this is the topic. Let's cover everything. First thing what you need to know, we all know Vande Mataram is what? It's our national song, not national anthem. Then what is national anthem? Jana Gana Mana. Okay. Now, who have composed? Some facts. Let's get into the facts of Vande Mataram. That is, facts of Vande Mataram. What are the important facts of Vande Mataram? The first important fact is that composed by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. It was composed by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. When he composed in 1875. Basically, it was composed before only, but it was first published in the literary journal called as the Banga Darshan in Banga Darshan. And then it was also included in the Anand Math 1882. Anand Math. Now question can be, Ajay sir, should we remember all this year? No, you don't have to remember, but you have to remember what? Chronology. UPSC will give that different events, and they will ask like the arrange them in the, or the they can ask for the match the following, and such kind of chronological question can be asked. So we need to know like which happened early, which happened later. If you're not able to recall the exact 1882, at least you should be able to recall like the where, when it happened. I mean the which was the period around between the 1890, like that. Okay, that much you should be able to remember. About the Vande Mataram is, it was first sung in 1896. See, these facts are important because of the chronology. 1896 first sung in 1896 by Rabindranath Tagore in one of the session of Congress. Okay, so that is also important. The song was first used as a political slogan in 1905 when during the 1905 during that anti-partition, division of Bengal was there, partition of Bengal was there. So anti-partition movement was there in Bengal. That time this song became like a national anthem for the whole country. It was uniting the whole country, right? So that was the first time it was widely used across the India. Then Vande Mataram was also circulated and published in the different school, different colleges. There was occasion when the Britishers started fearing this word Vande Mataram. You know why? Because it was like triggering the nationalism in our country. Nationalism was getting triggered because of this song. So many times there were instances that this Britishers started imposing fines, restrictions on the students, on the people who were started singing or naming the Vande Mataram also. And that much impact this Vande Mataram had. Okay. So now let's talk about, we understood the fact, these are only the important facts. Okay, then if we go further about the chronology, it will go further. There is one more, that is on 24th January 1950, what happened? Vande Mataram was adopted as national song of India. National song adopted. And you know what Honorable Dr. Rajendra Prasad said, the first president of India? He said that this national song Vande Mataram will not be having any less importance, less honor and less status than the Jana Gana Mana, that is the national anthem. That was the statement of Dr. Rajendra Prasad. And that means national song have the equal importance like national anthem. Okay, so that way we understood the facts about the national anthem. But another important point which can be asked in the mains is impact of national song, that is the Vande Mataram. What was its impact? Its impact was also huge. Some example, let's know. Madam Bhikaji Kama. Have you heard about this name? Madam Bhikaji Kama. She was a revolutionary. She was a freedom fighter of India who were working abroad, outside India. In 1907, she designed one flag. Which had tricolor and written this term Vande Mataram. This was written. And it signified the national movement, the nationalism, the national consciousness of India, which triggered the nationalistic feeling across the world, even in the foreign country. That was the importance of this national Vande Mataram. Next important is that second is the Madan Lal Dhingra. Madan Lal Dhingra. This is also a prominent figure in Indian history, especially in the national movement. He chanted this. He was hanged in England because of his last word. He was one revolutionary. During his last word, when he was hanged, his last word where you know what? It was Vande Mataram. Can you imagine? Can you sense that feeling of that Vande Mataram? How important it was for the people. Even during the death, they are not calling the God. They are calling Vande Mataram. And same thing happened with the Gopal Krishna Gokhale when he arrived to Cape Town, South Africa. People welcomed him, by saying what? Vande Mataram. Vande Mataram. So it was important for even Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So that much important. During his procession also this was chanted. Hence the Vande Mataram is not only a song, not only a national song, it is consuming in itself the spirit of nationalism, the spirit of freedom struggle, the war cry, the all intention, the love, the fight of our freedom fighter is inside this Vande Mataram, and hence we should celebrate it with great pride and sing it with great devotion and patriotism towards our country. Let's move to the next article, that is Karnataka's menstrual leave policy. See, this topic is very important, not only from the UPSC point of view, but also towards the gender inclusivity in our society. This initiative is very, very significant, not just because of this one state is doing it, but also it will create an example for other states to take such initiatives. Now, as you know that the menstruational cycle is a natural phenomena and a natural cycle which takes place every month as a part of a reproductive health of women, right? So during that time, women need certain period of rest, and that during that time, if they have to work, it creates a lot of issues, a lot of problem. Considering that the principle of empathy towards such natural process, because there is no what we can say is that the no part of women there, it's not like they are doing that intentionally. It is the natural process. So the Karnataka government policy actually recognizes that and shown the empathy towards the women, and they have brought this Karnataka's menstruational leave policy. So we will ask, is it the only state who is doing it? The answer is no. Even the Odisha, even the Bihar are having the policies, but only in the government offices they are getting the 1 day or 2 day leave. But in the Karnataka's menstruational leave policy, even in the private sector, women are going to get 1 day paid leave for the menstruational cycle, right? So this becomes very, very important for the gender inclusivity, and the constitutional principle of gender equality has been upheld through this policy. Okay, so that way it is very, very important. Let's move to the next article, that is the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty. Very important article. Why? Because recently Trump said that they are going to restart the nuclear test which was paused. Now what will happen? It can trigger again the nuclear arm race between US, China, Russia, and looking at it, other countries may also expand their nuclear arsenal. And if nuclear power expands, nuclear bombs, nuclear weapons expand, it is disastrous for the human society. At any point it can come. If because one country use the nuclear power, the state of geopolitics currently, we are divided. So in that division, if one country did it, the other country may also do it, and that way we can destroy the whole human civilization. And that is the threat of this nuclear power. And that's why this topic becomes important, not only for the UPSC but also for us as human society. And then in that context, the comprehensive test ban treaty comes in the news. What is this comprehensive test ban treaty? What is this? From this you can understand is that it is comprehensively bans the test of what? Test of nuclear weapons. Okay, so that is first in 1996 there was an agreement called as the comprehensive test ban treaty was signed between the different countries. It bans any form of nuclear test on earth. So if the US is deciding to test, since they are signatory, they might come out of this treaty, and that can trigger the other countries coming out of it, right? So that is the threat actually. So now the question is this CTBT is in force? The answer is no, because it will come into the force only if 44 countries sign and ratify it. Sign plus ratify. However, some countries have not signed it. Who? Korea, North Korea not signed, India not signed. If India not signed, Pakistan also not signed. Since Pakistan not signed, India is also not signing, and because India doesn't completely approve this treaty, they call it as incomplete. The second problem is that there are signatories but they have not ratified. Example like China, US, they signed but not ratified. Okay, so this way the CTBT, though it is comprehensively bans the test, lacks the enforcement because of lack of implementation, and also because of the Donald Trump is going to lift the ban on the test, it can create another nuclear arm race, and that is the news. Next news is the quantum key distribution, that is distribution of the key. See here, three words is there: quantum key distribution. That is, if one node is here, second node is here, one information has to be transferred from A node to B node. So what is the threat here? The threat here is that this information can be captured in between by another person D, which will detect it and know what is there in this data. So it will be the violation of privacy. It will be the violation of IPR. It can disrupt the data flow. So that is the problem. However, if we use another technology which is called as the quantum, if this information is the quantum key, then the D cannot detect it, cannot modify it. If they will modify it, A and B will get to know, because there is one principle called as the no cloning principle. No cloning principle. That means if one quantum, that is the qubit, which is called as the qubit quanta, is replicated, exact replica cannot be made. There will be some differences, and that difference only is detected and get to know that yes, this information has been tampered or violated, its integrity has been violated. And that is why this quantum key distribution becomes very important for encrypted transfer of data. That's why it is important. Okay, that is the concept of quantum key distribution. Okay, so next important article is ancient Indian contribution to mathematics. As you know, ancient India was full of mathematics, philosophy, science, art, culture, especially that Gupta period is known as the golden era of ancient time, and we were one of the most prosperous, most knowledgeable civilization. And that period of time, the mathematics, what was the contribution of the mathematics becomes important for us to know. And in the present context it became important because the NCERT have recently released class 7th mathematics book Ganit Prakash, and this Ganit Prakash actually contains a lot of about the ancient mathematics which was practiced during the ancient time. And this is important because even in the National Education Policy 2020 talks about inclusion and incorporation of Indian knowledge system. Indian knowledge system is expected to be included under the National Education Policy 2020. Okay, so that way it is important. And what are those significant what we can say the literatures? What are the important literatures? The important literature, 3 are very important. One is Bij Ganita. Bij Ganit. Who wrote? Bhaskaracharya. Bhaskaracharya wrote this Bij Ganit, which talks about the different mathematical formulas and problems. Second is Brahmasputta Siddhanta. Very important. Brahmasputta Siddhanta, wrote by Brahmagupta in 7th century he wrote. Here also a lot of rules regarding multiplication, division has been mentioned. The next important is Sulba Sutra. Sulba Sutra is more geometric text. Geometric text are there in this Sulba Sutra. So these are some of the example. Mostly in the mains it can be asked in the art and culture, the contribution of ancient India in the mathematical field. In the prelims can be asked the Bij Ganita, as the following can be asked from here. Bij Ganita was written by whom? Sulba Sutra, Brahma Sphuta Siddhanta written by whom? Like that in prelims it can be asked. So that was the discussion for today. That is the 7th November. Thank you so much for discussion. We are getting late. We are delaying some of it, but one by one we are covering it, and very shortly we will cover other days which we have left. Thank you so much for today's discussion.